Just to let everybody know, we're not quite at quorum yet. We're waiting for one more commissioner to arrive, so we might be a few minutes late in starting. The 2022 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. I will read the rules for tonight's meeting. The Plan and Zoning Commission is generally an advisory body to the City Council. The City Council will hold a public hearing and make the final decision on all matters before the Commission other than site plans and subdivision plats, unless denials or conditional approvals thereof are appealed. Please contact the City Clerk or Development Services Department staff for details on council hearings. Applicant will be given 10 minutes to present the request. Proponents and then opponents from the public are then allowed to speak in that order, with each speaker allowed a maximum of 5 minutes. Applicant is then allowed 5 minutes for a rebuttal. The hearing will then be closed and the Commission will discuss and vote on the issue. All comments are to be germane to the item under consideration, and speakers are to maintain a courteous manner. Items listed on the consent portion of the agenda will not be individually discussed and will be considered for approval in accordance with the recommendation in the staff report, unless an individual present or member of the Commission requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately under the public hearing agenda. Before we get started, can we check to see which commissioners are on the phone tonight? Is Johnny on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I've got Johnny. Is Chris on the phone? Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Is Dory on the phone? What was that? Connecting just now? Chris or Dory, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm on the line. This is Dory.
Okay. And is Todd on the line? Okay. That's a no. So I believe who we have are Johnny and Dory at this time. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the June 16th Planning and Zoning meeting?
Abby, I'll approve.
This is
I'll move.
Okay, Carolyn moves. And all those in favor? Raise your right hand.
Yes.
Okay. Johnny? What's your vote on the minutes?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Dory, what is your vote on the minutes?
yes.
Okay. All those abstaining? Okay. All right, we will move on to the consent items. I will read each one and then ask if anyone present would like to take it off of the consent, move it on to hearing. Number 1, determination as to whether the proposed East Army Post Road Urban Renewal Plan is in conformance with the Plan DSM Creating Our Tomorrow Plan. Is there anyone in attendance tonight from the public who is in opposition or would like to hear this item tonight? Okay, we have one, so we will take that off. Number 2, request from the City of Des Moines for vacation of an undeveloped east-west alley right-of-way within the block bounded by Southeast 15th Street to the west, East Railroad Avenue to the north, and Harriet Street to the south in order to allow assembly of parcels for the City of Des Moines solar field. Is there anyone in the audience tonight who is in opposition and would like to hear this item on the public hearing agenda tonight? Is there anyone on the commission who would like this taken off consent? No? Okay, we'll leave that one on. Number 3, request from Euclid Foresight LLC, represented by Connor Delaney, for vacation of the westernmost 0.58 feet of an existing north-south alleyway adjoining 413 Euclid Avenue. Is there anyone in attendance tonight who's in opposition and would like to hear this item? Anyone on the commission who would like to hear this item tonight? Okay, we'll leave that on the consent agenda. Number 4, request from R. Michael Knapp and Ellen P. Knapp, 2001 Revocable Trust, for the following regarding the parcels in the vicinity of Southwest 56th Street, Southwest McKinley Avenue, and Watrous Avenue. I need to go through all that. Probably not. Yeah, rezone property from P2 Public Civic and Institutional District, EX Mixed Use District, and N2B Neighborhood District to N2B Neighborhood District to allow development of the property for 1 and 2 household residential uses. Is there anyone in attendance tonight who would like to hear this item? Okay, we do have one, so we will take that off consent. Number 5, request from KEC Investments, LLC, represented by Ryan Winter, for review and approval of a major preliminary plat, Stanton Ridge preliminary plat, on 7.93 acres of property in the vicinity of 2300 Stanton Avenue, for development of 26 lots for 1 household residential uses along an extension of Emma Avenue. Is there anyone in attendance tonight who would like to hear this item? All right. And number 6, request from David and Mindy Gasho for review and approval of a preliminary plat, Broadway Meadows, on 5.08 acres of property in the vicinity of 4393 East Broadway Avenue for development of 3 lots for 1 household residential units. I will mention that this is on the consent agenda, but the staff recommendation is continue it to August 4th, 2022. Is there anyone in attendance who wanted to hear this item tonight? Okay. All right. Just want to make sure you are in opposition to this and would like to hear this item tonight. Okay.
And that's fine. I just want to clarify that what is being asked of the commission is actually to continue the item to allow more discussion and work on the applicant's end. So if that's okay, that'd probably be better, so we just have one hearing on the item. And okay, and have we put you in touch with the applicant? Okay, so if you guys could visit, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll leave that on the consent agenda unless anybody on the commission wanted to hear it. Okay. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, number 6, right? Okay. Okay, so tonight's consent agenda is number 2, 3, and 6. Is that correct? 2, 3, and 6? I think it's 5. 5? It's 5?
5 staying on.
Okay. All right. 2, 3, 5, and 6.
What's that?
5 got pulled. That's what I
yeah.
thought.
So
Okay.
just the items that are staying on the consent agenda, I think, are 2, 3, and 6. You had that, yeah, you had it correct,
Yeah,
Chair.
okay. All right. I have a motion to approve consent agendas, consent agenda items.
Abby? Okay, go ahead.
Yes? Okay. All right, all those in favor of approving the consent item agendas, raise your right hand. Okay, Johnny, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Dory? Dory, can
Yes.
you, consent items, is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Should I double check for Chris? Chris or Todd, if you're in the line, can you say something? Okay, I'm assuming they're not.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, moving on, first public hearing item. Bert will present number 1.
Yes. Madam Chair, members of the Commission, Bert Drost, Planning Staff for the City of Des Moines. Item number 1 is a request for a determination as to whether the proposed East Army Post Road Urban Renewal Plan is in conformance with Plan DSM, Creating Our Tomorrow Plan. As this Commission knows, when the city proposes an urban renewal plan, this body is charged with reviewing that proposed plan to make sure that it conforms with the city's comprehensive land use plan. So Chandler Poole with the city's Office of Economic Development will be giving the presentation tonight, so I will turn it over to him. Yes. Roll down the plans all there.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chandler Poole. I'm an Economic Development Coordinator for the City of Des Moines, and I can walk you through the urban renewal plan, or the proposed urban renewal plan for East Army Post Road. As you see on the screen there in front of you, it is a rather small urban renewal area. A little history on this area. This area was annexed into the city in the mid to late 80s. Before that was kind of a rural fringe area of the city, or adjacent to the city. A number of the lots are very deep and very shallow, as you can see here. And so they don't really work well for redevelopment. We have 38 acres of the 77 acres in the urban renewal area are agricultural use. And then the remaining balance, after you take these 19 acres out, leaves approximately 19 acres or so of right-of-way here going along Army Post Road, just east of the southeast 14th Street intersection, and then continuing east along East Army Post Road to the intersection with Indianola Avenue and picking up that intersection there. We have an opportunity to look at doing a project in this area on these parcels here, and this urban renewal plan allows us to utilize a tool called TIF, tax increment financing, to help incentivize this area for redevelopment and to provide an opportunity to look at improving the infrastructure that is currently there. The road itself is a rural street. That means it's not very wide. Engineering has identified the street as needing to be widened and modernized with 2 lanes, one going each way, and a turn lane in the middle for safe turning movements. There's also a lack of sewer that goes along pretty much right through here. So most of these businesses and houses or properties are on septic. So there's definitely a need for some public infrastructure improvements, as well as the opportunity to incentivize a business to hopefully locate there and bring a number of jobs that we've been working on currently. So it's rather small. It's not a very big urban renewal area. Last year I came in front of you with the Douglas Avenue area. One was much larger, had a much bigger area to work on. So a little bit of where we've come from to get to this point tonight. We've had neighborhood meetings, 2 of them. First one was in May, working on a neighborhood meeting with the Easter Lake Neighborhood Association in regards to the rezone of the property. June 2nd, Planning and Zoning Commission to talk about rezoning the property from MX to I-1. June 13, we set a date for a council hearing for the urban renewal plan to be heard at council, and that will be on July 18. We've had a neighborhood meeting with the neighborhood in regards to the plan itself, and that was on June 21st. June 27, City Council approved the rezone from MX to I-1. And on June 28th, we held a public meeting with the taxing entities. That means DART, the school corporation, the county, to talk about the urban renewal plan. Did they have any questions, anything of the sort? We had the county responded and attended virtually, and they were supportive of the plan. Going forward after this evening, we'll go in front of the Urban Design Review Board on July 12th for a recommendation of approval for the plan. And then, of course, on July 18, we'll go in front of council for the set hearing date, for hopefully they will approve the urban renewal plan with your recommendation as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions I have. It's not a very big area, so it's not very complex.
Commission members have any questions for Chandler? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's anyone here tonight who would like to speak as a proponent of this, you can come forward, or neutral. And in opposition, you may come forward. Be sure to sign in. You know the drill.
Hello, Council and Vice Chairman Chungath. Nice to see you. My name is Carol Maher. I live in Ward 3, zip code 50312. Once again, I don't think these items should be on consent, right? One of the bodies that is to review this for approval, to give a recommendation to the City Council is you, and having it on consent, I think, is bad practice. So that's one of the reasons why I raised my hand. So I hope in the future, when an urban renewal plan comes in front of you, it doesn't automatically land in consent, because you can't count on me here to come here and be a PETA. Also, as we know, these addresses were on our agenda on June 2nd for a zoning change to go to I-1. At that time, it was not mentioned that these were going to go into an urban renewal plan. It was not mentioned at the June 27th City Council meeting that there was going to be a TIF booty at the end of this project process. So I find that disingenuous that all along it was known we were going to get here and it was never mentioned. Also, hello. Mr. Poole said that there were, transportation says that we need to have 4 lanes of traffic plus a turn lane. There was no mention of the lack of sidewalks that are there today. It's a very dangerous road, not only to walk near or ride a bike, but to drive a car, which is what I did today. It was frightening. So I hope as the city prioritizes sidewalks throughout the city, that they lay down some sidewalks in that area. Because one of the things that council was so excited about when they approved this zoning change were the residents that were going to be able to go right there and work because they live close by. Well, they won't be able to walk there. So I hope you consider putting in sidewalks. This is a very small TIF, and if my calculator on my phone is correct, over 20 years there will be $326,870 in TIF funds available over 20 years, which is not very much. The city holds themselves to 75% usage of that, which is $245,000 and change. And when Nick Shaw was here on May 5th, I believe it was, he said that they keep their funding stack to no more than 15% per project, which means $36,772 will go to a project. Seems like an awful lot of administrivia for $36,000 to go to this company. Or perhaps are they thinking about breaking their own rules and giving more to this company that is going to build a project there. The only one that I know of that's going to build a project in this specially designed small little urban design renewal plan for this resident. It seems quite generous that we're going to stop what we're doing and put these guys in a renewal plan with TIF, although small. Also, one of the things is when they were brought here, they were out of compliance for zoning due to their outdoor storage. They still have outdoor storage. One of the requirements in a urban renewal plan and TIF is that there are no code violations. And this applicant, when he was here, said he didn't want to fix the code violations before he did the project. So it's at a little bit of a standoff as to who's going to blink first on that. That's all that I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to this project? All right, seeing none, the city can rebut and come up and address the questions that arose.
I mean, this is a very small urban renewal plan area. The city has done this in the past. We have 3 that we've already done. First one is at Southwest 42nd Army Post Road by the airport. That was done in 2015. And that was to bring in and work with Electric Power Products, EP2. Very successful project. The other one is Hilltop. That's on Hubble and East Douglas Avenue. That was done in March of 2021. That one's still being worked on now. And then Southwest Gateway. It's on 28th and McKinley. I'm sorry, Highway 28 McKinley by the airport. That was done in 2018. That was for Waldinger. So we've done this in the past, very small urban renewal areas to try to incentivize a company to come in and make it go. The numbers that were presented, yes, are correct if nothing is built there. If we're able to build something and move forward, that's how TIF works, then we take the increment that's generated beyond that, and that's what we'll be able to use. I do not have numbers like that at this point in time because we don't have a deal put together, so I can't tell you how much they're going to build or what it's going to be. But that'll go in front of council with a development agreement. But then you'll see that it is not just $36,000 we'll be able to offer. We'll be able to offer quite a bit more, mainly because there are some extenuating circumstances. The road itself is not proposed to be 4 lanes. It's 2 lanes, 1 in each direction, and a turn lane down the middle. So I want to make sure that that's in there as well. So it's pretty simple. I can answer any other questions you may have. Sir?
Just let me get this here. Yeah, here we go. I have a question about a timeline for the improvement of the street. Has that been laid out? Can you tell us what the schedule would be for that? And my other question is, when that occurs, is that going to include pedestrian walks on each side of the road?
I can answer the second part first, and that is, I would hope so. I imagine traffic is making sure that we move people properly and safely, that they'll have the plan for sidewalks. I'm not the engineer. My conversations with traffic engineering with that, this will be a number of years off. However, if we don't have a funding stream, it'll be pushed out. If we have a funding stream, we might be able to accelerate the date as to when we're able to make the improvements happen along East Army Post Road. So I don't have exact dates at this point in time, I'm sorry.
If I could, I believe per the city's complete streets policy, you would have to, and I'd think about Indianola Avenue when that was reconstructed. It's probably been longer than I remember, but it feels like maybe a decade ago. And pedestrian bike facilities were put in with that.
Any other questions from the commission? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll close the public hearing at this time and open it up to the commission for discussion. Or a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll move the staff recommendation for the East Army Post Road Urban Renewal Plan.
Okay. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Johnny, how do you vote?
Yes.
You got that? Dory, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4. Shreyoshi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Shreyoshi Chakraborty, Planning Staff. I'm going to give a presentation on item number 4, which is a rezoning request for a couple parcels within the vicinity of Southwest 56th Street, Southwest McKinley Avenue, and Watrous Avenue. The applicant is requesting to rezone to N2B neighborhood district to allow single-family residential use. The two parcels roughly measure about 75 acres, and a large-scale development plan was submitted to staff as part of this application. Oops. This is a really large document, so it's just being a little clunky. But here you can see the rezoning area right here. Here is Watrous Avenue. These are the two parcels for the subject property and are being proposed to be rezoned. This map right here provides you a little bit more detail regarding the change in the zoning and the land use. The reason being there's a few different zoning districts and land use designations that overlap within the property. So as you can see here, the portion to the north that's kind of yellow is already zoned N2B residential. This right here is being rezoned, being requested to be rezoned from business park to low-density residential. So is this portion right here to the southwest. This large-ish white area in the middle is a airport development control zone that covers a portion of the property. And then this little triangle here to the southeast is the runway protection zone, which also has the development control. So there's a few different parts here that are being proposed to be rezoned. The summary of this is that all of the portions here are being requested to be rezoned to N2B except for this small outlot right here that's been identified in the large-scale development plan, and that's essentially the runway protection zone that is not developable as per the regulations of the airport. This is an aerial view of the subject area. Again, you can see this is all undeveloped. There's 3 single-family houses in the southern parcel, a large pond, and some large open space as well. And a street view of the intersection of Southwest 56 and Southwest McKinley. This is the rezoning sketch that was submitted by the applicant. And I again apologize for the slow transition between the slides. Here is the large-scale development plan that was submitted. The applicant at this time is proposing to develop the northern parcel, so you can see the layout here, the proposed layout for the parcel. There are currently no plans to develop the southern parcel, but as per our large-scale development plan requirements, contiguous parcels belonging to the same landowner have to be included in the large-scale development plan, and as a result has been shown in this plan as well as the rezoning proposal. The undevelopable outlot that falls within the runway protection zone is shown right here in the plan as well. With that, I will move on to the staff recommendation. Staff has reviewed the rezoning request, and we believe that the rezoning request to residential, to N2B and residential use is appropriate for this area. There are some conditions that need to be adhered to, and therefore staff has worked with the applicant and been in communication with the Des Moines International Airport to ensure that any future development that happens concurs with all the necessary regulations in place, and therefore staff is recommending approval of the rezoning with 6 zoning conditions. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can read them. Oops. It's not. The computer is not frozen, but it's not connecting to the projector. I can put the... All right. So these are the 6 zoning conditions, and staff has worked with the applicant to go over each one of them, and staff and the applicant are in agreement. Essentially, in summary, the zoning conditions pertain to the future development of the parcels, ensuring the designated runway protection zone is identified. As you may have seen in the land use map that I showed earlier, there are, with this particular rezoning and land use plan amendment, the significant area that falls under the development control zone will be rezoned to residential, and will be the land use designation will change to residential. However, there are other surrounding landowners that still will have that development control designation, and so a land use map amendment will be initiated by the city in the future to remove or modify any of those development control zone out of the future land use map designation. And again, to clarify, the reason is that the airport had updated their runway protection zone area, which is why that needs to be updated in the land use plan. And there's other conditions here that pertain to the outdoor sound levels and making sure appropriate mitigations are met in order to address that. The noise and navigation easements need to be worked out as per the requirement of the airport. There's also conditions on connecting to the public water and sanitary sewer, as well as dedication of the right-of-way for the future Southwest 56th Street alignment, which was realigned as a result of the runway protection zone at the south east corner of the parcel. So that's the summary of the zoning conditions that staff is recommending with the approval. I did have a summary of the neighborhood meeting that the applicant did, as well as we received a couple comment cards in support of the rezoning from adjacent landowners. So those are the additional items I had in my presentation. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them at this time.
Sorry. What's the address on this property again? Or the intersecting corners?
So it doesn't have a precise address. It is bounded by Watrous Avenue to the north, Southwest 56 to the east, and then Southwest McKinley to the south. And just to align you, the Waldinger Corporation is to the west, and Southwest 63rd Street beyond that. So if that gives you an idea.
Are there any other questions from the commission for Shriyoshi?
Question, please.
Will, do you want to see if I can answer your question, why they do the
Yeah,
text
this
work?
this is a consent agenda item, and so I assume the answer is yes, but I just want you or someone to confirm that the applicant is in agreement to the conditions.
Yeah, the conditions came in with their application. We had a great meeting with them in advance.
There we go.
Yep.
Are you able to pull up the map again and kind of explain just point out where the airport zones are?
We're going to have to talk to IT about this laptop. I apologize.
I guess my only
It-
question
sure, go
really
ahead.
was, so that area is is a bleed out area for the airport. Is that specifically just for safety, or is that for redevelopment and expansion into the airport?
Yeah, so there's a future runway proposed, and which is why the airport has identified runway protection zone associated with that runway. And so there's additional regulations that apply in terms of whether it's development or noise. There has to be mitigation in order to reduce the amount of noise. And as the closer you are to the runway protection zone, the regulations are higher. But But the very corner, the outlot X that I was talking about, which is in the south east corner of the parcel, that is where there can be no,
Yeah, and I
Now,
think-
that's a good map.
Yeah, I think, Justin, to answer your question, really, the reason we're here tonight is that the airport has reconfigured their future plans. So if you look at this area right here was a future runway that's not there today, but right now there's the runway that goes northeast to southwest, and then from northwest to southeast.
Yep.
There's plans to add a third runway here, and their plans have now shortened that runway, so this area up here is no longer needed for a future runway protection zone. So what's like this trapezoid shape, or whatever you call it, shape is now able to slide to the southeast, which frees up the subject property for development. But as the map that she'll show you, the future airport runway control zone does clip just the extreme southwest or southeast corner of the subject property.
Yeah, that was my only concern, because I knew the development was going to take place, and noticing that it does clip part of that property, I didn't know if that would be a problem for the airport's development, and then would it be a hindrance to the potential residents living there? But as long as it meets spec and it's okay, that was my only concern.
yeah, the runway protection zone is the area that the Federal Aviation Administration describes as the area which might be prone to, if there is a airplane crash or something while landing or taking off, there's a potential risk. So there's a kind of a buffer that goes beyond the runway area, which is identified as the runway protection zone area. And here's the corner that Bert was talking about. That's with the updated airport plan. This is the only corner that falls within the runway protection zone now for these two parcels. There's other parcels, adjacent parcels that have portions of the runway protection zone going through them, but for these two parcels, that's where that's the only corner. And that's also the reason that Southwest 56th Street is being realigned. You can see how it curves right here. And so that's to essentially get it out of the runway protection zone.
You were also saying that development would be required for the rest of that land? Was that?
You're talking about the parcel to the south? No, it is not a requirement. The current zoning is not appropriate for this area because a lot of it is zoned business park and public, P2 public district right now. The applicant can talk about this a little bit more, but from what we understand, they don't have any intention at the moment to develop this area, but if in the future they do develop this area, they would probably do low-density residential, so the N2B zone would be more appropriate than P2 or EX district.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the commission? Okay, seeing none, if the applicant, thank you, Shriyoshi. If the applicant can present, they have 10 minutes. Please state your name and address.
Paul Clausen, Civil Engineering Consultants, 2400 86th Street, Unit 12 in Urbandale, Iowa. Just to hit on a few things that with the vicinity of this to the airport, there is that noise navigation easement, which sets restrictions and building requirements, and also elevation requirements for the glide paths for the airplanes, which is why we're not proposing any development with this large-scale development plan on that south portion. There's really too many limitations with the elevations to build a house in that property. But with going through the staff comments, it required any properties, adjacent properties with the same owner to go through the large-scale development plan, and we figured we'd throw that property into the rezoning, just so that the existing structures were in compliance with the zoning. The owner's also here tonight, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right.
Thank you.
Seeing no questions, is there anyone from the public tonight who would like to speak in support of this development? Or is there anyone who's neutral who would like to speak? All right, anyone who is in opposition? You may speak now. Come forward, put your sign in, name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Hi, Carol Maher, Ward 3, zip code 50312. The gentleman just mentioned the height limitation. One of my concerns was going to be we are in desperate need of housing in Des Moines, and building more single-family residences on these large lots seems a little out of whack for that. So I was wondering if perhaps, I believe it's N3A, might be a more appropriate zoning change to allow for more density in that area. There are a lot of jobs nearby, and I think a lot of people would like to live there and work nearby there. So I'm wondering why we wouldn't consider putting more homes in that location due to its great access to the airport and jobs at the airport and jobs in other places. Also, Southwest 56 is really hazardous, and I hope that the city is considering soon to deal with the drop-off on each side, no sidewalks, lots of trucks, stuff like that. It's not safe for anyone. Also, I want to remind this developer about the impervious percentages that are allowed in the front yard. I believe they've been in front of this body before, asking for exceptions for 3-car garages. So I just want to make sure that that is reminded and known. And it would be really great if the developer was committing to all-electric houses, all-electric buildings. It saves you money from not having to run a gas line, and it really is climate-friendly for the world, for the city. And it's such an opportunity when you're building from scratch to build nice houses, multifamily units, hopefully, that are all electric, that are better for everyone, including the owner. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone else here tonight who would like to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing none, yes, you're allowed a 5-minute rebuttal.
Paul Clausen again. We went with the N2B zoning because that's consistent with the adjacent development to the north in the vicinity, and staff was on board with that proposal. And 2 of the 3 existing houses are all electric, but no word on any commitments to the future developments. I know that Mid-American Energy does incentivize to go all electric, but that has not been discussed.
Okay. Sorry, I have a question. As part of this, to allow the development of the property for 1 and 2 household residential uses, is that the intention, is to build both 1 and 2?
No, with this large-scale development plan, it's mostly single-family homes.
Yeah.
This is all single-family homes, sorry.
Yeah, if I could interject, I believe that's a typo in our report. Their application, I was looking at it, is just for the N2B, not the N2B-2. So I will correct that, because that's not what you intended.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I will close the public hearing and open it up to the commission for discussion and motions. Any discussion or motions from the commissioners? Are we waiting on something?
Well, I don't know, is there an issue?
This may be now, next.
Yeah, just one thing. Could we keep that N2B-2 with, to have an option for the?
We didn't notice that. I'm sorry, let me turn my mic on.
Yeah.
I don't believe we actually noticed for the N2B-2. It's just in the body of the report and the agenda, the way it got drafted. It's probably a save as. The N2B, which was what was on your application, is just allows single family.
Okay.
There's a variation of that district that's called -2 or -4. I don't believe, did we notice? We didn't notice for the -2. We'd have to start over again, I guess I'm getting that.
Okay, all right.
So I apologize for the typo and the confusion, but the text, the actual district of what we notice is just the single family.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, real quick question. Sorry, before you sit down so you don't have to come back. What kind of style of homes are going in here and what's the price range?
I do not know. It's going to be a similar product to the development to the north, and I believe they're still selling those homes, so similar price range.
To the north of this?
To the north of that, correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have another question then for you before you leave. Are you perfectly satisfied with the explanation that Jason gave to you as far as the typo was concerned?
We can renotice it, but we just have to continue the item.
I guess I'm Mike Knapp, and while we don't intend on developing anything right away, and at some time would develop to the north, I had personally believed that this property to the west is Lafredo's produce. It is the Boy Scouts, and then to Waldinger. And I had thought myself of maybe putting just a road in parallel to that property line and building 2-unit buildings, which I might choose just to retain and use for rental. And I had understood from the N2B and the explanation that you could have 1 and 2 family dwellings. So I honestly was planning to do something like that. What Paul showed you there was just kind of throw a sketch up.
Where on this drawing? If you point if you go over right there and just point.
Okay, so this would be right behind the Fredos, Boy Scouts, and Waldinger. So it would be coming off of the new Waters that is yet to go in, coming this direction.
So it would change the large-scale development plan?
It would what?
It would change this is your large-scale development plan that we have.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was like, I don't know.
Well, what I'd like
Something
to
we'd
suggest,
like to continue?
well, what I would like to suggest is maybe we just get this on the book, like move this
Yeah.
forward, get it on the books, and then if you want to tweak something, I mean, obviously we had a speaker tonight that was pushing density, and we wouldn't be opposed to that as staff if it's done right. So, but I would need to continue it. We would need to update the large scale development plan, and I just think it slows you down.
I agree with you. I don't think anybody would object to it in the long run, and I don't know that I want to do it, so.
Okay. If that works, let's just do that, so we can get you moving forward.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
If this has been resolved between the city and the applicant, which I think it has, then I'd move the staff recommendation.
Okay. Sorry, Carolyn? Okay. Okay, that's what I thought. I was moving to vote, but then I thought Carolyn had something to say. Okay. All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. All right. Johnny, how do you vote?
Yes.
I think that was a yes. Dory, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Passes 10-0.
Yep.
All right. Okay, moving on to, so item number 5, I'm not following my scribbles. Item number 5, is that right, Nick?
Yeah, let's try it, if it works.
Hey, Tyler, could you flip it back?
Yeah, I guess we did all of these. Should we try it one more time? Okay.
See, there's something weird
Yeah,
going on
just-
here. Look at this.
Let's just try to restart the computer. You can use that for now, Nick. Okay.
It feels like it's broken. That's not.
It's
I
not.
don't think it's making a good connection.
Just when you switch to document cam, we'll use that. We'll make do.
All right, we can try to finagle a little bit. Nick Tarpey, planning staff. All right, so item 5, we're looking at preliminary plat, 2300 Stanton Avenue for a division of land subdivision. It's about 7.9 acres right now. They'd be turning it into 26 lots for residential development. It'd be all one household residential uses through here. So here's an aerial image of the subject property. So this is it's currently 2 parcels right now, combined about, like I said before, about 7.9 acres. If you follow my cursor to the right over here, this is Fleur Drive, so a lot of commercial uses, some a little bit heavier residential uses, apartments, things like that. And then as you go further to the west, it's mostly single-family type uses. To the south is the airport, so this is that a lot of those easements and stuff that Shiryoshi was just talking about actually exist to the south here. This is Emma Avenue here. As part of this plat, Emma Avenue, which is a public street, would get extended, and it would basically curve up and kind of flow with the property lines and hook up to Stanton Avenue up here. We'll take a look at that later. Here's an image of the property. So this is from Stanton Avenue looking inward right now, just to give you an idea of what it looks like generally. And then here's the current view from Emma Avenue. So currently, Emma Avenue terminates as a cul-de-sac. As part of this preliminary plat and as part of the site improvements, the cul-de-sac would go away and a public street extension of Emma Avenue would take place, curving it up to Stanton. So it would revert to a typical city of Des Moines streetscape, sidewalks on both sides, that sort of thing, and revert to our typical street design per our Traffic and Transportation Department. All right, so I gotta zoom out now. So digging into the plat document here. All right, so here's basically pretty much a basic layout of what they want to do. As you can see, here's the street extension here. The cul-de-sac would get reconstructed to basically mirror a typical public street section, residential street section in the city of Des Moines. Street would curve all the way up here to Stanton Avenue. Here's all the lots, 26 lots, like I said earlier. Each of them are going to be larger than 8,000 square feet, so these are relatively large single-family type lots here. A couple of the conditions that I did want to note as we dig into the staff recommendation from a staff end. I don't know if I mentioned it at the outset, but the zoning of this property is N3A Neighborhood District. That would necessitate a house type B, so as one of the conditions for future development on this plat, all of the homes would be developed with that house type B architectural style in terms of building siding, building materials, that sort of thing. Additionally, another thing, public sidewalks are required on both sides of the street. We made that a condition of approval, and that will be required as part of the public improvements. In terms of utility hookups, the applicant is proposing to extend existing public utilities and tap into those and enhance that public infrastructure. So in terms of their sanitary sewer, their storm sewer, as well as the water service, it'll be provided for within Emma Avenue, and then also connecting to existing off-site city infrastructure that exists out to the east. The engineer is here tonight, and he can talk about that a little bit as well, in a lot more detail than I could. We didn't receive any comments beforehand. I was able to talk to some folks before. They might come up again and talk about this a little bit, but beforehand we did not receive any comment cards. So with that, I'll take any questions.
I have a question. With the aerial map that you have up right now, there's a couple structures on the proposed development area. Have those already been removed, or are there plans to remove them, or are they staying?
I believe this one has been removed so far. There are plans to eventually remove both. So this one, both of them will go away. I believe this one has already been removed, and this one might be in the process of. I'm not 100% sure.
The one on the western edge, is
Here.
that a garage?
Yeah,
What
it
is
was
that?
like, it's a shed.
It's a shed,
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
Because it looks like there might be a driveway going to it, but that could be a
Sure.
shed.
It was not a dwelling, basically.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the other dwelling has not been removed yet?
Correct, as far as I know. I think the image that I actually showed from earlier actually showed that, so it was still there.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Seeing none? Please state your name and address. And you have 10 minutes.
Justin Strom, Snyder Associates, 2727 Southwest Snyder Boulevard, Ankeny, Iowa. We're the civil engineering consultants for the project. To address one of your questions you just asked, that home that's on the west half, over on this side, this garage right here, this was a single parcel all the way back to here and has since been replatted back to this line. So as part of that replatting process, this owner removed this garage back to the property line. So it shows up on here, it's removed now, it's been replatted so that it can be encompassed in this new development. The existing lot on this side is planned to be removed and encompassed into the development. It has not been removed yet. We're waiting for approval on these plans before we initiate that process. One of the primary things I wanted to point out for was the utilities. The plan is to extend water main from Emma all the way through and up to Stanton. Sanitary is actually located all the way down to the east, and we're at the bottom of the world down here. So the way we're pulling in sanitary is through the airport property up into the development in order to facilitate servicing all of these new lots. Stormwater, same thing. The low point of the site all drains down to here to provide enough depth and volume for us. We're also utilizing that same corridor we're doing with the sanitary and piping it down to a further elevation. All of these improvements on the airport property have been coordinated with the city. They're all below ground infrastructure improvements that don't impact any grading or any issues with the airport. And as these are public utilities, we've been able to coordinate no requirement for any utilities as the city owns the land that the utilities are going through. I know one of the homeowners on this corner is here in attendance that we talked to earlier before the meeting started. There's a small detention facility that's located there currently. All of the storm runoff from Emma Avenue on both sides of the street pools and is facilitated into this right now, along with the runoff that comes from the back of the homes. As part of this, we're pushing through Emma Avenue, so all of that drainage that was directed into their pond will now continue into the storm sewer infrastructure and through the street down to our new pond down here. We won't be able to get rid of this facility as it directs all of the runoff from the back of the yards behind and through, but we'll be able to mitigate and reduce substantially the amount of water that's able to sit and stand here in today's conditions. And I know they were talking about having some issues with the existing pipe that might be out there right now, might be plugged or it might not be functioning as it does today. So as part of these improvements, we're taking that out and just facilitating a way to provide the runoff a path to go to our new detention facility. Got any questions? Otherwise, we can give opportunity for others to talk, and then I can come back up for questions too.
Are there any questions from the commissioners? All right. Seeing none, thank you very much. If there is anyone from the public who would like to speak in favor of this or neutral, you may come forward. sure to say your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Well, hopefully you can hear me here. My name's Sean McVeigh. I'm at 2400 Emma, which is at the end of the cul-de-sac where the retention area was where he was speaking of. I guess he answered a lot of questions. My only concern was we were getting a lot of water in there and backup, and we've, over the years, have dealt with that, and we have a sump pump, and we have a backup sump pump. I'm assuming it drains where the sump pump actually drains into that stormwater area. He said with this new layout, it's going to reduce that. We were led to believe when we first moved there that would all be filled in, but since that's not the case, is there anything you guys have thought of, or the developer? My concern at this point would be if the pit has to be there, it's about 6 foot deep, I think, without measuring it. It could be a potential safety thing. I've, over the years, have helped landscape around it and put rocks in it, but with the potential addition of a lot of kids in that neighborhood. The reason we moved there was that cul-de-sac. It's a great little place for kids, but with more kids and stuff coming into the area, is there anything that can be done or thought about about making it a little safer, so nobody will get, fall down in there? Also, along with that, I've built a little retaining wall to help hold the dirt back against my property from sliding down into this area. That's a concern. It's starting to bow now. Is there something that can be done to develop that, to hold that a nicer, to make it look aesthetically, nice, so it blends into the neighborhood? And I'm a homeowner landscaper. I'm not a professional, so that would be my concern, was the water runoff, and I think they kind of explained that. My main concern again would be, the safety aspect of it. I've got boulders and rocks starting to slide down there now, so I appreciate your time.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor or neutral? Oh, be sure to sign into the sheet. There's a sign-in sheet right up there, if you could just...
You can do it after you speak, that's fine, but yeah, if we have someone else come up. Yeah. Kyle, could you hop up? Would you put the microphone back at the podium just to help the speakers? And if we had another speaker, you're welcome to come up while he's filling out the...
Yeah.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you. My name is Penny Harrison. I'm on the Southern Hills Neighborhood Association. I live in the neighborhood, and I'm also a realtor. I have a couple of questions regarding the price range of these properties. I know the Southern Hills Neighborhood Association, it says here that George Davis was notified in June. We never received anything until after the 4th of July. That was the first we knew about this. Really, we just would like to know the price range. As a neighbor and a realtor, obviously we're excited for single-family homes, and as the board, we do support this development. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor or neutral? Is there anyone who would like to speak in oh, I'm sorry. Come on up.
Hello, my name is Jason Bruce. I'm representing the owner, and I'm also the contractor on the project. I've met with some of the people in the neighborhood as well already, so I'm kind of a familiar face. Addressing what's going to actually happen in the development as far as building and the price points. It will be an open to realtors and an open to builders, but the price of the neighborhood will be in that lower below 300 range. So that's single family homes, not anything low income, not anything at a lower price point, but that medium price point that'll support the south side of Des Moines. So if that answers everybody's questions on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to this project? All right, seeing none, that was sort of a rebuttal anyway. But if the owner would like to make any further comments in response to the questions raised? No? Okay.
I'd like to hear a response to the drainage issue that one of the speakers raised.
You want to remind me what the specific question is?
This area will probably give you a good idea what the neighbor was talking about. He lives in this home right here, and there's this strange rock pipe. He can probably explain it better than me that is on his property.
Justin, if I could, I mean, I think you noted a little bit about what in your presentation, what will take some of the water pressure off of that with the street extension, but there's some stuff that will still out of the backyards come through. But I guess one thing that I wondered is, in listening to the question, is how much conversation you've had with our engineering staff about any modifications. I think what I'm hearing from the neighbor is that there's a sense that maybe that could be modified in a way that either operate better, or maybe he has concerns about safety as well, or the boulders moving. I don't know if I know it's not on your site, but I don't know if you'd had those kind of conversations with our engineering staff.
I think the goal was to reduce it as much as possible. I don't think we noticed that it was necessarily broken up concrete and stuff. I think we thought it was just riprap. If it's a little messier, there's an opportunity to clean it up. The only way to necessarily get rid of it is to extend a pipe all the way to the back of the property, more in line with where the, I'll call it a ditch along the back of the homes is going. Any attempt to kind of fill that in without any infrastructure extending back is just blocking the water, forcing it to stand there. So unfortunately, it's got a lower point on the back of the homes that's unable to completely get rid of it. So we're looking to take most of the runoff that was being facilitated directly to it and directing it away from getting there in the first place.
Okay. I was just, in those conversations with our engineering staff, I didn't know if the changes you were making, if at any point there was any thought that modifications could be made to this after you pull out, or, I mean, I know that's probably not the net, you know, like the focus of your conversations with our staff. I totally get it, but I didn't know if anecdotally, if there was any thoughts that, oh, well, this is taking off half of the capacity, you know, half of the flow that's hitting it today, or if you had any thoughts on that.
We don't have a number to put on it, but there could be opportunities to clean it up, reshape it a little bit, dress it up a little nicer. I know they had some maintenance issues, so if there was some lower maintenance, more prairie grass or something, I mean, that whole east side of there is a drainage easement that's connected to the back of the lot, so they don't really have the opportunity to do anything from a development standpoint. But if there was an improvement that was provided some improvement to the drainage and also provided lower maintenance or issues, we could work with city staff to see what we can do there.
Okay. Thanks.
I have a question about if something does go wrong, and I don't know if you've talked with a neighbor, but I would really recommend that you have a conversation one-on-one. I think that would be very helpful if the neighbor wants that. But my question is, you know, if something goes wrong, what kind of liability is the developer under?
Goes wrong as far as what?
Well, with the drainage.
As far as filling up and having a place to go, is that what you're asking? Yeah. We are providing a larger pipe that provides more capacity, and we're taking more runoff away. So there shouldn't be a problem that we're creating. If for some reason the pipe were to plug, like we always plan for worst case scenarios, it would overtop to the street, and we're also providing a swale along the back sides of 15, 14, 13, 12, and 11. that helps take an additional stormwater detention facility to the south away from these properties too. So an overflow path will be provided so that if it were to plug and the runoff had nowhere to go, it would not flood the houses. It would overflow in a manner which is standard practice for how we design subdivisions like this.
Okay. Any further questions from commissioners? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and open it up to the commissioners for discussion and motions. Okay, the motion is to move staff. All in favor, raise your right hand, please. Okay, Johnny, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Dory, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes 10-0. Moving on to number 7, which I thought was Kyle. Right, Shriyoshi?
Yeah, that's Kyle.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get this restarted, see if this works. Oh, okay. It's restarting, so I'll be able to make this work.
Okay, hopefully our technology gremlins are behind us. Good evening, members of the commission. Kyle Larson, planning staff, be presenting the last item on the agenda tonight for 2010 East 41st Street. Subject property is located on the south side of, the east side of Des Moines, on the west side of East 41st Street. Photos of the subject property here. And some street views to give you some context to the neighborhood that the subject property is located in. The applicant has an existing 10-foot wide driveway, and they're proposing to add an additional 14 feet of width to the driveway to bring the total width of the driveway to 24 feet. The existing 10-foot driveway is in compliance with the front yard impervious area. The existing driveway comprises about 20% of the front yard area. The proposal would bring the impervious area to 48% of the front yard, which exceeds the code requirement of 25% of that front yard impervious area. This is a sketch provided by the applicant showing that kind of dimensions of that proposed paving. They would also be widening the driveway approach to accommodate that 24-foot wide driveway, so it would be 24 feet wide at the property line, and then it would flare out to 30 feet at the curb line. Here's another view provided by the applicant to kind of give you an idea of what that new dimension would look like. Staff feels that the expansion of the paving is out of character with the neighborhood. The paving would be, like I said, in excess of 48% of the front yard area. We've had a number of applications in front of you prior to this one for an expansion of the driveway area. Some of those staff has supported that those expansions up to 40%, I think is the highest that staff has supported. So this exceeds kind of that threshold that we've supported in the past. So staff is recommending denial of that. We would be supportive of a smaller expansion up to 37.5%, which would allow the applicant to add about 8.5 or 9 feet of paving to bring their driveway width to about 18.5 or 19 feet, which could provide some additional parking space, which is obviously what the applicant is seeking to do. So in summary, staff is recommending denial of the current proposal. We did not receive any comment cards from the neighbors, but we did notice neighbors within 250 feet of the subject property, so this is the map that shows that notification area. That concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Are you recommending that the apron be widened as well by that 8.5 to 9 feet?
Yeah, so we would be comfortable with them expanding not the full 14 feet, but expanding an additional 8.5 or 19 feet. So obviously that would bring that width down on their private property, but we would also match the drive approach to that width. So that I think that's your question, is the drive approach would then be 18.5 or 19 feet wide. Then you would have that flare for an additional 2 or 3 feet that you typically see on those drive approaches. Did you have a question, Will? No? Anyone else?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. The applicant is here. Yep. State your name and address, and you have 10 minutes to present.
Howard Ross, at 2010 East 41st Street. The request to do this is because I want to extend the porch and have the driving. The porch is 14 foot off the side of the house, so to match that, I'd like to bring the drive out. I don't have to go the whole way to the street that way, but to match at the driveway to the porch, I think it would look unusual to have it 8 foot and the porch come out to 14.
Kyle, do you want to flip the slide back to the one that shows the picture with the house and the just, I think it might help Mr. Ross explain or convey his message.
Is that the photo you wanted to see?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
The way that we've had access to the house, we've had to take stuff over the railing in order to get anything of any size through the house. I wanted to take the railing off and make it stairs coming down to the driveway so that you had access going straight up into the house. And
So just to help with the dialogue and explanation, am I understanding that you're not, what's important to you is widening it out up at the house, but it could taper down like you?
yes, I'd like to have the additional parking there where the 10 foot, if you park in the middle of the driveway half the time, if you don't get exactly in the center, you're either walking in the mud on either side at 10 foot. So I would like to have at least 10 foot next to this drive to, I don't think 8 foot parking would be, suitable to get around it.
Is the, so I'm sorry, just one more question. 14 feet would get you to the corner of the
existing
back corner of the porch, or to that stone that shows up in the drawing, which really looks like it's past the porch?
The corner of the house to the existing porch there is 14 foot.
Okay. So the red line jogs
Yeah,
off.
no, it's actually just lined up with, and that's right at the back of the door. When you open the door open, it goes to the railing, which I'd leave the railing on that and then just extend the front and the side as stairs going into it.
So just to be clear, you're intending on putting stairs in addition off the front of the porch?
Yes,
Okay, right in front of the door?
yes.
Okay.
And extending that out 2 more feet so that you have room to stand in front of the door when you open it. Because right now you have to stand off to the side, open it, hold it open and go in. There's not even room to hold it open to get anything inside of it.
Okay, so you're not replacing the entire porch, you're just adding an entryway to it?
I probably have to replace the whole thing
The
because
whole
it's
thing.
only, I think, 4 foot wide now. And I'd like to bring it out at least to 6 foot. And bring the stairs down to the drive. Yes.
So you don't need, so if you have 6 feet in front of the porch as a sidewalk, that would solve what you need, would it not?
And then have the drive 8 foot next to it, up to it, only half of it be a drive.
So I think, if I'm getting this right, I think what's sort of being suggested is a new deck, an entrance off the front of the deck. There would be concrete in front of that, but it would maybe jog back to the 8 or 9 foot width.
Okay.
Is that what I'm understanding? I don't know.
So how about, so I think what we're understanding, you're saying you might be able to live with is to kind of redo this deck and then come out and then taper it down.
Yes. I mean, I'd like to have the additional parking up there all the way
Sure,
to.
like a stall width, so.
I don't mind using the same entrance to get to that, or even go maybe 4 to 6 foot at the bottom to get in there.
Well, and to be honest with you, you might, like, what we had recommended as staff is just like a square footage number, and you might actually, depending on how you tapered this, that might have worked within that square footage number. But I think the commission, we could approve the request subject to it providing a taper down to the to the current width at the property line to the satisfaction of the plan administrator, and we just would work with them. Does that make sense? Okay.
Thank you.
Are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Carol, did you want to speak? Okay. Close the public hearing and open it up to the commission for discussion and motions.
I'll take a crack at a motion.
Okay.
I'll move to allow the request of the 14-foot wide driveway expansion with a taper at the property line, subject to planning administrator approval.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Raise your right hand. Thank you. Johnny, how do you vote?
Yes.
Did you hear him? Okay. Dory, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes 10-0. Any committee or directors' reports?
None, thank you.
Okay. I will close this hearing. Thank you.